honored to introduce a group of incredibly innovative marketers who are here to share insights on how they're driving growth and what role in out-of-home plays in their marketing mix, and what they need from us in order to increase that investment, which I hope will be a through line through the day. How we can help, what we can do, and where the opportunities are. So please join me in welcoming them to the stage. Sorry about that. How are you doing? I like Boston.
Good.
It's good. Yeah. Hi, welcome. All right, really great to have you here. We had a fantastic prep call a couple of weeks ago, so I'm especially excited for this panel. I think it's going to be really, really good. To start and kind of introducing yourselves, why don't you just tell us about your brand and how you are using out-of-home and where you see the benefits?
Sure, yeah.
Start with you.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm Mack. I'm the VP of Marketing at Lesser Evil. We're a better-for-you snack company, mostly known for our popcorn. But we've really started using out-of-home the last couple of years. We're doing a lot of regional campaigns around our retailers and really trying just to leverage the power there to get people in store and find out about our brand.
Thank you, Jonathon.
Amazing. Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathon McKenzie. I'm the head of brand paid media at HubSpot, a customer platform that's leading with AI-based, and we are using out-of-home over the last few years to move up market. So we've recently started a brand team to really be a challenger brand in the marketplace, and we're using out-of-home almost every medium to really brand and move the brand up market, everything from static to digital to even custom.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael. I'm the co-founder and CMO of Lalo. Out-of-home is our newest channel. We recently really expanded into the channel alongside our launch at Target nationwide and have used it to kind of gain awareness in our key markets and kind of test a new channel to see how we can gain awareness using a new kind of mass tool and top of funnel tactic.
Hi everyone, my name's Megan Smith. I'm the Director of Media Strategy at Tecovas. We are a Western boot and apparel brand headquartered in Austin, Texas. And really, we've only scratched the surface on out-of-home, but we've been using it as part of our full funnel marketing strategy, really focused on awareness building in key markets, both new markets where we're opening stores and owning cultural moments in some of our key existing markets as well.
Thank you. I want to dive a little deeper. On the press hall, we talked a lot about, again, how you use it or how you want to use it. And you're really broadening the definition of out-of-home in a way that we don't see a lot of brands do. And I think all of you are using it much more holistically in your media strategy. So I want to start with you. You've worked a lot with ride shares, and you're not just, it's not just billboards. Tell us what you do.
Yeah, sure. So we have seen so much success as we think about out of home and as we think about billboards. We've seen a lot of success in mobile billboards as well, and that's where I would lean into rideshare. So specifically from targeting a business decision maker for aided awareness at HubSpot and moving the brand up market, we have seen so much success with rideshare, and it's just really interesting because they are, those two partners, we all know it's Uber and Lyft, they're kind of cutting into out of home as well, and it's just a really fun thing because that bucket of money or how we decide to plan or how we decide to move forward with our impression share, we really have to consider rideshare now as part of our formula for success. So I will just say that it's really, really just fun and exciting that it's not just what we see IRL, but also when the rider is in the car as well. And it's just been really impactful for moving the business forward and high brand recognition, which is so fun.
And Caitlin, you're using it more as a content generation tool, right?
Yeah, so I would say we look at it in a couple of ways. There's obviously just the benefit that we see from out of home, and I think it really legitimizes the brand in a way, which has been really fun. I would say as soon as we put up our first billboard, it was on our way to our HQ, so our CEO could see it every day when he drove into the office. But we really just started to get a lot more inbounds of people kind of asking about the brand, knowing about the brand, saying we're everywhere, which is a really cool thing. And then we've been able to take that, and content is huge for us on our social media, on our email. So we're able to use it in different mediums there, and kind of broadcast that message a little bit wider than we would have originally with just that one single placement.
Very cool. And Megan, you were talking a little bit, well, you use it in more, I guess, traditional out-of-home way, but you were talking about like kind of how everything old is now new. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, for us, out-of-home was really a targeted strategy. So, we are doing it in really 3 key markets right now, and it's been all about our target launch. So for us, we worked with our partner Quan to really figure out where our billboard should be. Where's the traffic coming from? And then what were the right placements? A lot of it's printed, but we're also doing trucks in some of the markets as well to kind of have that mobile presence, a little bit different than Uber and Lyft, but the idea that our billboards can travel and could be seen around our key markets was really important to us. So testing trucks as well, but we're dipping our toes in the water and we're measuring it and we're measuring incrementality with a partner as well. So, our goal is to grow out of home and continue to scale what we're doing with it. And so far, it's been a great test for us.
That's our goal too. Megan, you're in a lot of billboard owners in your city. Can you talk a little bit about how you use, back to the old is new?
Yeah, absolutely. So Tecovas is a rapidly growing brand. I think we see ourselves as a fun brand today, definitely disrupting the Western industry. But I think we've leaned into a lot of more traditional media and found a lot of success there. I've equated a very quality billboard placement with a broadcast TV spot. It generates that trust with both customers and our own team. I think Caitlin was speaking to just leadership seeing the boards out there gives a sense of pride. They get a lot of just text messages from their friends in the business space. Our customers are coming into our stores and talking about seeing our billboards. So even though it is a more traditional media channel, it's driving that word of mouth and that organic content share as well. And it's just really powerful, both from a credibility with the customers and just this pride with our leadership as well. So I think, again, we're leaning into things like out-of-home, direct mail. TV is still very powerful, but out-of-home is really where we have so much runway to scale for ourselves.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, our goal is really out-of-home is a fantastic medium for all those reasons, but it has, traditional being kind of separate from the broader media plan and not part of a broader strategy. Can you talk a little bit about how you are thinking about out-of-home as part of the broader mix and how you fit it in? And then maybe a little bit too about how you measure it, because it's not necessarily easy.
Yeah.
Start with you, Caitlin.
Yeah, sure. So I would say we've kind of built it into our overall advertising strategy. So when we're thinking about advertising, we're looking at it as out-of-home, CTV, and then just our social. So I would say for us, since we started including it within the mix, it's been a piece of just our general strategy. I think the measurement is something we're still working on. We were able to do, some lifts with our Spins, which is our data partner for our retail sales, and we were able to track some stuff from our campaigns last year. But I think the measurement piece and kind of that we're a brand that's sold traditionally in retail stores, so it's hard to create that direct one-to-one. So I think that as we're starting to grow and continuing to sell in more out of home there, it's going to be important just to continue to drive, proving out that it's working, whether it's the brand lift studies or intent and stuff like that. And that's, I think, what's been important to our leadership team.
Yeah, thank you. Jonathon?
Yeah, for measurement, we work with a partner called Dynata that specifically looks at panel base. It is a little more tricky at a tactical level. However, we see the most success in 3 channels, and that's out-of-home audio and then also video. And it's hysterical because as we talk about viewability, the broadcast, if we could almost back into a cost per text to an executive when you look into out-of-home, but we cannot do that as much on audio or video. So again, it's hysterical that we can't get down to a tactical level, but we do know that a lot of the execs get actual photos of seeing it in the wild. So as it relates to the planning perspective, we really lean into those 3 channels. And the way that we primarily plan is around tentpole events where we know our target audience is going to be. So we either disrupt or we either show up in a very premium, fun way. And then on the measurement side, Similarly to you, it is very tricky. We're not passing like device IDs back. We're not doing a full circle measurement. We're only focused on panel-based to understand, is the medium actually lifting our awareness? So we are, again, seeing great results. And we continue to pivot quarter over quarter to surround those tentpole events that we know our target is going to be at.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, for measurement, everybody says measurement out of home is so hard, so we just say fuck it, and we don't worry. But no, I'm just kidding. But we're looking at we're working with our partners, Quan and Agile, to understand the impression share that we're getting in the market. Similarly, there's a lot of like ego measurement I'm hearing amongst the panelists, and so similarly, like we placed a billboard in downtown Minneapolis because it was all about our Target launch. And so I'm measuring a little bit on what's the Lime review result, how much more space are we getting next year, and it's coming up in every conversation. The executives at Target have seen it, all our buyers have seen it. So that's not measurement of anything traditional, but we're feeling it in the same way as an executive text. But other than that, we're obviously looking at kind of our direct traffic lift, our organic search lift, sales lifts in the areas and around, specifically at those Target stores, to measure some of the geo effect of placing out of home in those markets.
And are you thinking about it as part of something larger, or are you just going first with out of home?
I mean, yes and no. It is part of a larger campaign that's multi-channel. We have TV running, we have social running. Out of home is a big piece of that. Celebrating Lalo now at Target, the validating effect of, there's a graduation that the consumer sometimes has to understand that we're not a startup anymore, right? And some of that is entering the shelves at Target, placing billboards, seeing us on TV. So that's culminating in this new feeling of what Lalo means as a brand. It's here to stay. It's a nationwide brand. It's a national brand. It's not a startup. And so that graduation out of home assists. Yeah.
Got it. Megan?
Yeah, so we're also partnering with Quan to really figure out a way to get to the measurement piece of our out-of-home campaigns even more. We've started with some foot traffic studies that are very promising with some of our campaigns this year, but I think where we see the impact on our local market out of home is in our brick and mortar retail stores. And one of our best case studies is rodeo season in Texas. So those rodeos are very established. They're happening every year. We have established stores that have been around, but we noticed when we've done some out of home campaigns leading into rodeo, we're seeing double-digit lifts in foot traffic and sales. So just that top of mind salience in a key cultural moment like rodeo, very important for a Western boot brand, and getting ahead of the event starting. We're seeing people come into stores anecdotally. They're telling us they saw our billboard, which is always great. So I think we really want to lean into the foot traffic data as a measurement piece. And again, Quan is helping us with some of those study setups that we're going to continue to do this year and moving forward.
Thank you. We already talked a little bit about it because we touched upon it when we talked about measurement. But if you can, roughly, how large is the share that you're spending on out of home? And if you make shifts, where would that come from? And then how are you planning and buying generally and specifically when it comes to out of home?
Yeah, so I would say within our larger advertising mix, our out of home is pretty equivalent to what we're doing for CTV. So we're kind of looking at those as like our two big buckets. And I think from our perspective, we're still an emerging brand. We don't have Super Bowl dollars. So we've been really tactical with identifying key markets for us and continuing to grow and go really deep in those key markets and run kind of month-long tests there, and then use that to prove out more money and incremental spend as we look to the future.
Yeah, so at HubSpot, in North America specifically, out of home is a large percentage of our buy. It's about 40% of our spend that we spend in North America specifically. We are currently active in UK, Australia, Germany, and France. So it really depends on how, to your point, how established we are in the marketplace. North America, given that we are becoming a little more established, we will probably see as we move forward, the dollars could shift a little bit more into more targeting. However, when we do enter new markets like Germany and France, it is a large percentage of our buy just because we need to enter the market. We need to show authenticity. We need to show that it's legitimate. And to be honest, out of home really does that. So if we enter a new market, I would say that it's about 50% plus of our total budget.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Michael?
I wish it was out. We spend very small, and but we don't do anything without the hopes of growing it. So that hopefully next year I come back and report different.
It's still a small part of our overall mix, but I would say it's probably our fastest growing channel within our mix, and it's now part of our playbook for all of our new store openings. I think by the end of this year, when we open our first New York City store, where we're heavily focused on out of home, it will be a much larger part of our mix. So it's only going to keep growing for us. And again, we've just scratched the surface. So it's just innately, we haven't had enough time under our belts. But again, we have a great agency partner who is helping us scale this channel.
You do. You do.
I know.
So, I mean, kind of, yes, it's going to grow, but like, if we're candid, what can we in this room and in the industry do to help you do things better, spend more? What are the challenges you're seeing to kind of move the needle?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it, I think, in my last response, but the measurement, I think just figuring out, proving that out. My CEO is an ex-Wall Street guy, so it's numbers, numbers, numbers. And so as much as we can share there and continue to grow there, I think he's a big proponent in out-of-home. He loves the channel. It's something that I've been lucky to have his support in a lot of the work that we do. But I think just continuing to show its value and prove out its value will be important for us just to continue to spend.
So it's really about measurement. It's not about necessarily just connecting into broader creative strategy. It comes back to the measurement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say measurement because I feel like that's the obvious answer.
Everyone says that.
However, here's the thing. I think that there's a lot of power in this room. And if we all try to at least have a measurement partner or at least make sure that the metrics are concise and there is someone that maybe we hand off to a third party or something, I just feel like if there is so much power on the stage in the room that I feel like we can continue to evolve it. But I would say tactically measuring. So for example, if we are doing posters versus sailboats versus a huge vinyl that take over all of like LA Boulevard, it's like, how do you measure those tactically differently? And right now we just have it at a market level. So I would say my answer is sadly measurement at a tactical level, though. I would say at a tactical level. If we can get down to that, it would be incredible, absolutely incredible, because then out of home would be on the same playing grounds as every other channel, and that would be absolutely powerful. Because we know it works. We know it works.
Well, we hear that all the time. We know it works, but we can't put a number to it. We're just going to keep it where it is. And that's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of measurement and kind of how we can get help, I mean, there's measurement within a vacuum. How is this thing doing measured against itself? And then how is it doing measured against the whole pie? You talk about how we're integrating it into everything else we're doing. So for us, I mean, we're running an incrementality test with a partner called House that we use for incrementality testing across the board. And so they've spun up a new test so that we could look at our out-of-home incrementality. What did it do in the markets in terms of sales, in terms of traffic, returning customers as well. And we're looking at that across D2C, Amazon, and looking at our target sales as well. So how incremental it was is most important to me, not just that it got eyeballs or there's a raise in awareness. Maybe my other tactics help there. So that's really important. And then the last thing is, we dipped our toes into very traditional out-of-home, I would say. Maybe a little bit new with our trucks, which is, an expanding vehicle. But for us, I'm excited to get to the point of creative out-of-home. How do we do things differently? We have a saying, write your own playbook. I want to write my own playbook, and my goal in everything we do is that we create best practices. Best practices happen because someone said, that's not working for me anymore, let's try something different. So I'm excited to get to that stage of our out-of-home experimentation, and I think that's where we would lean on our partners to figure out what's possible even.
Yeah. Megan?
I think one of the greatest opportunities is right here, just learning and case studies from other brands. I think one of the things that holds up some brands is just like, how is this going to work for me? I can see in my Meta dashboard exactly what's happening, but having these case studies from other brands who maybe started with 1 or 2 billboards and now have multi-market established out-of-home campaigns and how they got there, what gave them that confidence to keep scaling. I think that's what's so great about conferences is you learn a lot about how other brands have paved their way, and that can give just a little bit more confidence to test and learn yourself. So I think that's probably one of the greatest opportunities that the industry can lean into is just sharing more of those stories.
Yeah, awesome. And well, you'll definitely have the opportunity here now. But also we had Todd Kaplan, who's the CMO of Kraft Heinz, in our board meeting yesterday. And when I asked him kind of the same question, he didn't really touch on measurement, but he talked about creativity. And he said that the creatives today are kind of, sorry if there are any in the audience, but they're a little lazy and they don't necessarily come up with the big ideas. And he said, you guys know your media, you know your platform, you know how to connect it. So you should bring them or us ideas that they can make come to life. Do you feel that that's true?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think for us as a brand, creative's been integral to our growth, and it's something that we've invested a lot internally in, but I do think there's value in kind of seeing what's out there and how things can interestingly come to life, because we don't know what we don't know. And so I do think there's, for sure, I think working together and continuing to grow and build, it only makes things get better.
Yeah, I agree. Looking in a vacuum is really tricky. So looking at media only, it's actually funny. Whenever we have a fair quarter, we always look at we always talk about media, but it's like 70% media, 25% creative, and it should technically be, to your point, 50-50, because we can buy the best inventory, but if the storyline isn't there or if the creative is too soft, the message just may not go through. So I do think, just to build on that, the integration either at a campaign level or either media to creative and that storytelling and that loop of understanding what we did wrong, what we did great, and what we should do again, I think that we can continue to evolve that because that will just make us smarter when it comes to media planning in general.
So your big idea, your creative campaigns, are they like, is that coming from the company itself? Is that coming through your creative agency? Is it
Great question.
coming through your media partner?
Yeah, so great question. So it comes from our team internally from marketing. We typically we have a creative agency, Arts and Letters. And so what we do is start and work with them. We usually come up with a campaign platform, and then we work with the agency to help us bring it to life.
Michael, what do you?
Well, I mean, creative is really everything. And in this space, when you look at measurement, you look at data, you have dashboards, you have barometers and benchmarks to go against. Creative requires like a really clean mirror, right? You have to look at that mirror and say, did this do well? And you have to also be comfortable with striking out. A lot of stuff isn't gonna work. I think there's that Jeff Bezos quote that business is a lot like baseball, except you have as many tries as you want, you can score as many runs as possible, right? I'm butchering the quote, but basically, you're gonna strike out with creative. Things are not gonna work, and you have to get comfortable with that for the opportunity to have that one home run that scores millions of runs, right? And so, you gotta think differently, you gotta bring as many voices to the room. We recently started something from a creative landscape that touches all of our media. We call it the writer's room, like SNL. It's mostly focused on digital, but it could expand beyond that. And we bring our marketing team to the table, and you have to pitch an idea within 2 minutes, and it has to be executed within a week for digital. If someone comes with an out-of-home idea that takes longer, great. But we then vote on it in that room. We decide what script is gonna go live, and it has to be live within 7 days. We're trying to think differently and bring creative ideas internally. We feel like we know our customer and the brand the best, but there are opportunities to bring others in, to the table to infuse ideas too. But there's infinite creative ideas that you just don't know which one is going to come next.
Yeah, but I think, and I think Todd said it too, and we hear this a lot from our brand council, like, obviously the company owns its own creative and have the big ideas, but I do think that us on the media owner side, we know it so well. We see so many great examples. We're in the medium every day. I think we should be bolder when it comes to approaching clients with and maybe that's the way to open the door, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a partner to know it's even possible too. And sometimes you have to push your partner. Say, we think it's possible, let's figure it out together.
Yeah, we're lucky at Tecovas. We have amazing creatives internally, and we've been contracting with some great external creative partners too, and using a lot of our campaign imagery. And I think for us, we've seen a lot of success with just very traditionally Western, compelling, striking imagery, big brand recognition, Tecovas in a very urban environment. And I think it's just very eye-catching. So for us, it has been I feel like our creatives see it as just like this great canvas for their work to come to life. So I think for us, creative is a huge part of why it's been successful for us, for people to catch our brand, really see that striking imagery and create that brand building and emotional resonance with our brand from that first billboard into them coming into the funnel. So for us, it's paramount to our success. And I think we're very lucky to have some great creatives on our team who are super into out-of-homes. They're very motivated to put together some great creative for the placements that we secure.
There's something interesting you said about the canvas. And I think when you have a great creative team that's great on a computer in front of them, one place you can lean on your partners is really understanding the scale of out-of-home. Because we have really great designers and creatives that are working on a canvas that's digital, it's in front of them, it's 13 inches or 15 inches, and they're so pixel perfect and dainty. And sometimes creative needs to smack you in the face, and especially when your canvas is so big. So understanding what is the size, what is the scale, when you can't visit every location you're putting a billboard in. So I think that's one way you can really lean on your partners, is how to have the right creative for the placement, because it's not, an Instagram story.
We brief our creative agency on every single placement, and exactly for that reason. We talk about why you're walking by, why we chose this, the rationale here, the other things that were considered, and every single placement with at least 2 images, just so we can bring it to life. Because you're right, the creative has to make sense on the media inventory. If not, your app, it's such a waste. It's so sad if it's not. It's so sad. Like a huge screen with like 2 words, it's just, sometimes it's just not that great.
Love it. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So it's important to make sure that everyone knows, right?
Very good point. Yeah. Well, that's a nice segue into the question, and I don't know if you heard my opening remarks, but we deliberately we don't have a, guru speaking about AI at this conference, because we think it's already here and it's not really something we're going to be talking about that much, but it is going to change our lives. And we spent some time talking about that on our prep call. I thought it was very interesting. And again, we're talking about creative, we're talking about the agency, understanding like the formats, et cetera, et cetera. How are you using AI today in your organizations, and how do you see that change or evolve over the next year and a half?
Yeah, I think we're leveraging it. We too have an internal creative team. So I have a team of 5 designers that are doing everything for the brand. So I would say it's used at this point as more of like a brainstorming technique. As we're doing kind of larger brainstorms, we're putting different prompts into ChatGPT or things like that. It's interesting though, because my designer was just showing me a Halloween post where she was able to change out an arm from a human hand to a lizard hand. So she's just doing there's some fun little pieces of it, but I think at the end of the day, authenticity is going to be really important. And so if things feel like they're not human generated, it's not as impactful. And so it's something that I think we're really conscious of as we're continuing to develop it, is making sure that it does feel like it goes through the lens of the brand and it feels authentic to who we are.
Oh my goodness, this is such a fun topic. HubSpot is bought in, and we are an AI-powered team. We have every AI-powered platform: Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT, everything. So here's how we use it. We use it from a planning perspective. A lot of the times what we'll do is we make a Claude project on our actual target audience, and then we have Claude write a quality score at a tactical level for every single placement, so we understand, does our audience index highly against said placement? And then, so that is just from a planning perspective. We also ask it similarly to what you said, is there anything else that we should consider? I would say another thing that we use it for all the time is for our event space. So about 2 times a year, HubSpot hosts events. We have Spotlight in Q1, and we also have Inbound in Q3. And around those 2 events, we have a lot of out-of-home. And specifically in April for Spotlight, I was asking Claude, if we know where the hotel blocks are, what link boards should we buy? Will Gabby, our target audience, walk by from said hotel to see link board on the way to the event? And we actually scrapped several placements based on AI. And I must say that just for the feet on ground, it did make sense. It was a powerful move. We shift the budget into more localized creative or media tactics, and it was really, really powerful. So I would say every single deck that I present is AI audited. Every single plan we have has a Claude quality score, and then each tactic is run by, just so we ensure that is it still aligned with our target audience, which is Growth Gabby.
Yeah, I mean, just reiterate most of what was said. I mean, for me, one of the most powerful time savings with AI is really on the data side, right? Whether that's creating a quality score or looking at any piece of data and bringing that together to find holes that I'm missing. But it's mostly a starting point for me. On that, I'm trying to then dig and say what doesn't really feel right. But there's, at this point, I feel like there's people that are fully bought in, there's people that are cautious, so that's kind of the spectrum. There's not much in between. We're fully bought into, similarly using it across everything. I mean, even on my drive up from New York, I was having a conversation with ChatGPT to structure some sort of a deal for me because I couldn't be typing it, so I was just talking to my AI and having a full-on conversation so that when I got there, I had a full, basically written agreement for a deal that I'm working on.
That is so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, blown away. Megan?
I would agree with everything my friends here have said. So we haven't done too much on the creative side. I think we use it as a brainstorm and foundational tool, but that authenticity is really important for us as well. So we have to be careful there. But I think it's really a tool to help us think, research, cut through the clutter, and really focus on what's most impactful for us. I think it's really easy to be stuck in analysis paralysis, and AI helps us really focus on what's most actionable, how do we share that out, cut through a lot of what holds back marketing teams from doing the most important work. So we're very much learning as we go, but we're bought in as a tool to help us do our most important work and cut through what's holding us back right now.
Thank you. All right, we are at time, I can see, but I want to ask you one final thing, just a closing question. If there's one thing that you want everyone to know in this room, or takeaway that you want them to walk out of the room with, thinking about or doing things differently, or really great things that we do as an industry, what would that be?
I think what impacted me is kind of talking about the media informing some of the creative. So I think that there's a lot that could be done there with big creative ideas and collaboration in that part.
I would say we are media partners for a reason, and partners have really hard conversations. So if there is something that we are not doing right, you need to tell the client, the buying partner, which is Quan, and because we want to achieve our business goals, and we can only do this through a partnership. So tell us what we are doing right or wrong so we can fix it and then do better next time.
End the tariffs.
Period.
Yeah,
Period.
we'll do our best.
Thank you.
I think for us, learnings are valuable no matter what. We're going to always try and put our best foot forward on a campaign or an execution, but if something doesn't drive the volume of foot traffic or maybe doesn't go over as well as we had hoped, those are still great learnings to help us optimize our plan and scale the channel in the future. So I think gathering data, whether it's maybe a miss and not the best execution moving forward, it helps us just get a better plan in place and keep growing as a brand.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Again, I loved our prep call. It's so energizing and fun to hear how brands like yourselves view our medium, use it, sometimes in very new and innovative ways. It was a true honor to have you here on stage, and keep mingling and learn a lot about the industry. Thank you. All right, thank you again, Caitlin, Jonathan, Michael, and Megan.